lovelies, and welcome to Juliet's Sewing Life. Today we will be discussing how to decode a commercial dress pattern. We're going to be talking about how and what all those little marks mean, and we're going to be giving you a PDF download so you'll be able to check that out along with this video. So let's get started. Okay, now we're going to press our seams. So let's see, yep, nice and hot. First thing to do is to set your stitches, which is just to iron down like that. Of course I should have a press cloth, but I'll show you that on the real thing. So the first thing to do, it wants you to press your seams open, which is just like that. So first we set it like that, and then we open out our seams just like that. Might hit it with a bit of seam. Now look at that, absolute perfection. Perfect. Okay, and now we're on to number 14, which is asking us to do an ease stitch or a gather stitch. And the best way to describe this is if let me see, this was used, I used this as an ease stitch, which I'm going to show you, and then that could fit, this volume could fit into this little tiny circular thing. So this is how you do it. The first thing you want to do is you want to have the longest stitch length possible. If I turn my machine round, you can see this is what I normally stitch on, 2.5. So if I'm going to go all the way up to as high as it can go, which is 5 point, that's the longest stitch length, because we want it long so it doesn't secure the fabric. We don't want it to secure the fabric. So the first thing I always do is I always lift my foot, lift the foot, pull my string, so I've got quite a bit of string here, put that to the back because you'll need those to pull, and then you'd have your line. Let's just put a line here. That's the longest one. You'd have a line here that you're sewing along. So then you do not back stitch, and normally it will say ease stitch, or ease stitch between notches, and then you'll just do it between the notches. So put my needle down on the longest stitch, you just run along there, do not back stitch at the end. Then you want to lift your feet, a long piece of cotton, and now let's move that out of the way so we can see. Now we have your bobbing thread and you have your top thread. I tend to pull the top thread. So now, just by holding one of the threads and pulling it, you can see how it gathers. And the same on the other side. Now because you lengthened your stitch, it's going to be a lot easier to do than if you had a small stitch. It'd be very difficult to get it to gather because it's practically set inside the cotton. And as you can see, we've reduced this, and this is where you'll always be using this to put in a sleeve, always, because you want to use to fit the dome into the top part of your shoulder, the dome of the sleeve. So you'll always be using something like that, or like this, and that's how you get that. So this is how you do it. It's called an ease stitch or a gather stitch. So that's how you do that. Okay, and then we're moved on to number, well, it doesn't actually say, it's edge finish. So for the edge finish, you could either finish off with a serger or an overlocker, which I do, but if you do not have that machine, that's not a problem. You need to finish with a zigzag to finish the edge of your fabric so it doesn't fray, or you get a nice even finish. So with my machine, I have to change my foot to the G foot. This is the Brother machine. So by doing that, I just clip this little black button here. The foot falls off. Just remove that, just like that. I put the G foot underneath there. clip it down and we're ready to go. It's actually got a nice little guide there. So I've programmed my machine to a number 7, which is the finishing overlock, or the finishing seam finisher. So as you can see, it's got that nice little guide right there. So I'm going to put my needle down and I'm just going to show you exactly how that works. Here we go. It's just finishing off, it's just wrapping up the edges to make sure that if I had like a knit or a fabric that could fray quite, you know, easily, this is going to stop the fraying and make sure, and also give you a really nice finish, nice professional finish. It's quite relaxing actually, back and forth. So all machines, especially if it's a computerized one, will absolutely have an edge finishing stitch. You might have to change your foot for it. Some of them you don't. Some of them you could just use your J foot. I don't know, rather you use your J foot, which is your regular normal foot, and then the zigzag will come from there, depending on how it's computerized. But this is an upgrade, and so it goes into a different foot, which is the G foot that I'm using here. Almost at the end, and here we are. Needle up, clip the threads, and let's see what we have. Oops, there we go. And now we have an edge finish stitch. You can actually make this more denser. Let's see if we can make it denser. Let's see. Well, it'll let you do it that much. If you wanted it quite close together, let's go. So it's a little bit less loose. By making the stitch narrower, then you get a different look. Or wider if you want. This is how it was set naturally.